Yeah, it's rich in bubbly goodness.
Do you remember when you lost your passion for this work?
I invited another friend. I hope that's okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show.
Is your mic
Out
going
a little
here?
better. No, it just evens itself out. Hello,
Whoa! I'm hearing you twice.
to the show. It's not me.
Is your mic
Out
going
a
here?
little better. No, it just evens itself out.
What is going on here?
Show. It's not me.
Is your mic
Out
going
a
here?
little better. No, it just evens itself out.
What is going on?
Hold on one second. Okay, let's start this over again. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed all the buttons at the same time. So, welcome. Ignore all the gremlins causing problems in the background. Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis and keeping it real with theme park news. And welcome to the After School Special, where we get together with more friends in the fandom after school, so to speak. And let's try this again. So let's first bring up Fat Steven Seagal. How you doing?
I'm terrified to talk right now because I don't know if the whole internet's gonna start yelling at us like it's underwater. I thought we were like in the ring for a minute there.
I don't know. I think StreamYards just said, you know what? Watch this.
I think it had a stroke. I think it went from StreamYards to Stroke Yards. She's like, I can't feel half my
It
face.
just went nuts. I've never had that happen before.
You should see your face. You're sitting there going, best intro ever. Tomorrow.
Speaking of intro, guess who is back with us again? Kamran Pasha, how are you?
I'm well, and I think that was my fault that you were in a loop. I think my Twitter was playing our video while it was coming on, and so I ended up looping you, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. So I apologize to all the viewers. I came back with such a roar.
I'm gonna clip that because if you watched Cameron's eyes, he went looked up, looked down, looked up, looked down. He looked like the deer in the headlights. You just watch his eyes. His head stayed still, and he's like, "What is going on in the internet?"
You know what? It was priceless. It really was
I'm clipping it.
priceless.
I don't care. I'm clipping it.
Oh, well, Kamran, you are back on Twitter. I'm so glad. So I heard, but I don't know if that's you or not.
Somebody claiming to be me on Twitter. So let's just, we'll just leave it at that.
Are you the real one?
I don't know. Twitter doesn't think I'm the real one. So
is it like
officially? I will say this on my official Twitter ban. They officially finally sent me their review of my appeal 2 months later, right? And it was just yesterday, and it was literally saying in a very aggressive tone, is that we have reviewed your appeal, and you will, and your Twitter account is suspended and will remain suspended because you are a fake account. I was like, fake account.
So not a parody account. A fake account.
You are a fake account promoting spam. And they said and it will remain spam. I was like, but my old Twitter account was linked to my phone. So I was like, you guys could have just called me and said, is this Kamran Pasha? So you see, whatever. It is what it is. When the Newspeak, 1984 villains are in charge and they can say whatever they want. They know they're lying. You know they're lying. They know you know they're lying. And that's it.
Oh, yeah. Like the intern reading a script. This is what I'm supposed to say.
No, and they get pleasure out of it. Some dude is sitting there writing that email saying, and you will remain banned.
Oh, of course.
Enjoying adding that extra clause. It's just like,
of course. It's
doing that.
Twitter can't even keep their own rules straight. You say, what rule did I violate? They're like,
rules are
we'll get back to you on that.
Rules are for suckers. That's where the 2020s are. Words have no meaning, and rules are for suckers.
Is that the real Cameron talking, or is that the fake one?
This could be the hologram. Out on the fringes of the conservative world that I'm often part of, on the fringes of it, everyone is talking about how everybody's a clone, right? Like Biden's a clone and Hillary's a clone. So maybe I'm a clone. You're
a very handsome clone, sir. I'll say that.
I will take it. I wish it not from you, but I'll take
it. We can dress you and your clones up into different Spider-Man outfits. We're going to read you the whole clone saga.
Okay, so why am I thinking about the cover for the poster for the movie Multiplicity?
Oh my
And
god!
all I
Yes.
just see is multiple versions of Kamran.
Okay.
Oh, I could do that. I'm gonna take his head and put it on that Michael Keaton movie
So
poster.
you got a lot of fun stuff. You're gonna clip that little thing of me, like, where's that sound coming from? And then you're gonna put this multiplicity thing. You know?
Oh yeah, we can do. It's like every time we can just make the eyes start moving and all the different heads start popping up behind you. Yes, I'm gonna get fired after.
I'm looking forward to that because I get to see Kamran's face several times, all lined up next to each other.
But this person that's claiming to be me is now on Twitter, and if you want to follow that person, you're welcome to do so. It's it's my name, Kamran Pasha 72, and what can you do? There's there's everyone out there claiming stuff, right? So
yeah, just take it for the entertainment that it is. But speaking of entertainment, there are 28 people watching. Thank you so much. Kamran Pasha is our guest. And let's see who we got in here. So we have a biatch of Aidu. Can't hardly wait with all the claps and smiley faces. So thank you. And I did notice before the stream started, and I missed the name, I'm sorry, but I have a new channel member to the Schwab Society. So welcome. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. StreamYard's cut that off, so I can't see it. And let's see, I might look out and be able to, nope. And even the popped out chat's not there either. So I will have to look you up. But thank you so much for becoming a member. We have Chris Corkum says, hey there, Lorena. Well, hello to you, Chris. So glad you're here with us. And we have Dad Van Walking, a member of the channel, says, long day of meetings and driving. Apparently, I screamed, so I stopped for a Snickers and Coke.
Yeah, the story behind that is that he got brought into Dead by Daylight on AGP's channel.
Yeah,
and literally he was screaming so much in horror, because it's a survival horror game. One player is a murderer, right? And four to six people have to go around fixing generators to escape. So when he was getting chased around, he was screaming so loud that his teenage daughter, came in 3 times. Said, "Dad, I'm trying to sleep." Just shut up.
Okay.
Oh gosh, that's too freaking funny. Funny. Hello, Snooter Peepus Cuber. Thank you for being a channel member. Says hello, humans and other critters. Well, hello to you, and glad you're here with us.
By the way, Human is a very popular name in LA in the Persian crowd, because every time I go to a car dealership, it's always like Human this, Human that. That's it's like John in the Westwood LA Persian community. Human is like a popular Persian name here.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that. Oh, if I venture back out to LA and I'm back in Westwood again, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Well, it's interesting, Lorena, because Santa Monica is returning to normal. Like, I'm looking out my window right now, and like 95% of people aren't wearing masks, whatever, and they're being normal. And but I went to West Hollywood, just like 15-20 minute drive away, right? Yeah. Everyone's like full scale hazmat suits, and everybody in West Hollywood is vaccinated. People took 2 vaccines, right? and I was meeting for a friend there, and we were meeting at a cafe, and she wouldn't take off her mask. I'm like, you're as she had proudly told me she was vaccinated. I'm like, so you're vaccinated, right? And under the new LA law, if you're vaccinated, you can take it off. She's like, yeah, but nobody else is, and I don't want to stick out. I was like, okay. Okay.
There are some times I so don't miss living in LA, especially having to go to WeHo to West Hollywood. It's just like, do I have to cross that line between Beverly Hills and officially step in WeHo?
WeHo has very attractive people. That's the reason I go there.
Yes, they do. WeHo seems to have the restaurants where you go there to be seen and see other people. Beverly Hills does too, but WeHo is more like the spot.
Yeah, it's more affordable, attractive people. Beverly Hills is like the supermodels, right? But WeHo is just like good-looking people who can actually sort of like they have like normal. Yeah. So yeah.
Wait, good-looking people exist? Where I have a place to go.
They do in LA, or
they
at
do
least
in LA. It's LA. What can I say? I lived in LA and I came back and I was not the same.
Yeah, we were spoiled. When it comes to lookism, we're spoiled. This is a very attractive place.
Extremely spoiled, to the point now where it's like I cannot go to the supermarket unless I am in full makeup. And where did I learn that? In LA. I could not go to Ralph's or the Vons without making sure that everything was right. Jeans, Doesn't matter if you're wearing jeans, gotta wear heels for jeans, gotta wear flashy top for jeans. That's just how it is.
Well, the new style in LA after all this nonsense is everyone is dressed like I Drew of Genie. They all got their veils on, but the midgets is there, right? So they're all like Barbara Eden.
Oh man, well,
it could be worse though.
Like, I've seen a lot of belly. I haven't seen a lot of smiles in LA, but I've seen a lot of belly buttons.
I guess that makes you smile, huh?
They certainly. Yeah, it's like evolution, and it will adjust. Oh, I can't be beautiful, but I'm gonna be really hot. So okay, LA adjusts.
You do. It's like you have that adjustment going on.
You have a pooping heart sticker from Chickle Trunk, as well as a hi from John Parson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the $2 super sticker. One of the hard-working wrenches over there in Midnight's Edge. Thank you so much. I love that dog with the farting hearts. Love it, love it, love it. It's so cute. It's so cute. And let's see who else we have. John Parson with another super sticker. I don't think I've seen you on my channel in my chat before, so welcome. And what kind of sticker do we? Shiba Inu dog that says hiya. Hiya. I love the Shiba Inu dog. Thank you so much for that, John Parson. I so appreciate that. Oh my gosh. Let's see. We have. Let me go back up here. Try to make sure I say hi to the folks here in the chat. I think I stopped up at the great one is here. Yes. How are you? 2.37K subs already. You're going to be 3K before July. Well, from your fingers to God's ears. We'll see if that happens. That'd be awesome.
Inshallah, as we say,
Yeah, yes, that's right.
If God wills. So yes, but I do believe we're on that track for that. So
yeah, like my relatives say, Lord willing, and a creek don't rise.
You remember John Talks? John Talks. Like, is that great that YouTube channel John's got, right? Yeah. So I came on his channel finally like a year ago, whatever, and I've been following him from the very beginning. And I teased him. I was like, his initial, which he dropped after a couple of years, his initial sign off was always, Lord willing, I'll see you next week. Remember that? Lord willing, I'll see you next time. And I was like, man, you can say inshallah this whole time. And they just dropped it after a while. But he did it for like a year. That was his shtick. That was like every time he signed up, John would be like, Lord willing. He would put his finger up on the screen. Lord willing, we'll see you next time. I loved it.
I think that was before I started watching him regularly. That is interesting.
I found him right after it's like the initial trying to find creates after The Last Jedi, and I found him very early on. He must have had like 100 subscribers then.
Wow, I wonder if he still got those videos around. I'd like to watch those. Hey, Kermit Frog says, I'm excited for this. Well, so glad you are. It's always a good time when Kamran's here. And let's see, we have TD says, hey, everyone. Good to see you. Capitano Calvary Manche. Hopping from great stream to great stream of intelligent discussions. Here for Reina Creole. Have your 6 whenever I see you are streaming. Well, thank you so very much. I do appreciate that. I always appreciate the backup there. John 42 says, bam. Yes, we are all here. In an explosion, cartoon explosion. Max Anderson says, hello all. Well, hello to you. And I think I've got everyone out. I say that now. Hold on a second. Prismatic says, hello, Lorena, Kamran, Stevie, and all the folks in the chat. Good to see you, Prismatics, and thank you for being a channel member. Yes, Snooty Porpoise. Gary has it before I do. I have brain farts because I'm in IT. So you're in IT, you boom. No, we don't call it a boomer moment. We will call it a brain fart moment.
It is a brain fart.
We call it that all the time. Let's see. We have Nihan who says, hi, everyone. Well, hello. Glad you're here with us. I appreciate that. Could not be reached a further comment. That was like a haunting. I guess from what happened in the beginning when we came on.
The ghosts of Christmas future were speaking, So.
That was wild. Ion, if I was napping, I'm not now. Hey, Vic, I thought that was you from the Avatar. Oh, man, it's like a little after 10 p.m. over there in the UK. Usually I like to put Eastern time and GMT. And I used to do that. I need to get back into the practice of doing that. So thanks for pinging me about the time. Let's see. We have Kashyyyk Queen. Hello, Amber says hello. You look beautiful, Lorena Creole. Oh, well, thank you so much.
Why don't I look beautiful? What the hell?
You're beautiful on the inside.
That's cream filling. Don't dissuade the fact here.
Oh God, I have to laugh. I love British slang. Because I can say things that people are like, what was that? Never mind, you won't get it. Hey,
Yeah.
Wendy Vega says hi to you. Cameron 12587. This is where the fun begins. Absolutely. So many of you great people in here. Tim Myers, I don't think I've seen you in here before. Hello, Diablo Dame. Good to see you too. And I think I am caught up with saying everyone. And there's JJ. There are you. What's up? Thank you for being a channel member. Hello, awesome one. Always good to see you. And then we have Bone. Hello, Lorena Creole. Hello to you, Bone. And we have Kip Ellis says, evening, folks. Well, good evening to you too. And there's Shellback. Hey, Shellback, how you doing? Say greetings to you all. Cerebral flatulence. I like that one. I'm going to have to use it. And Zach 7. Hey, all. Sorry I'm late. Stupid job. Hey, dude, I understand.
I know from employed, my friend. I got a lot of people I know in LA not employed right now, so good for you.
Amazing. Yeah. Let's see. And thank you, JJ, for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate that. Good evening, my lady Lorena, Stephen, and Kamran. Hope all of you are well. It's great to see y'all. Yes. Thank you. Always great to see. Always great to see Kamran on the show. So I always love having Kamran on because whenever I look at the idiocy that's going on in Hollywood, which just seems to get worse every day, I always love to hear your takes on just what is going on with these people, because I'll hear people comment like, well, why do they do that? And this doesn't make sense and that doesn't make sense. But since you've worked among them, because I've only lived among them, you've lived and worked among them, your insight is just something else. So we could just start right off the bat with
it doesn't make sense. Everything in Hollywood makes sense if you understand Hollywood is the meeting point of stupid and evil. Once you understand that that's where those 2 points meet, then it makes sense.
So that's like the axis.
Yeah,
which totally makes sense. It used to be that they were just stupid and greedy. Well, not necessarily stupid, but there was a method to the madness going on. Now it's just
really a stupid and evil. That's a combination.
Wait, are you sure there's not a third one? So it could be like the Hollywood Bermuda Triangle of just nonsense.
Yeah, they're not smart enough to create a third one.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm a comment on that one. Let's see.
All right, so we got some stuff with the lovely Gina Carano.
Yes. So what had happened? I guess it was Monday. Mm-hmm. There was this digital poster that came out because you know how when like in the Hollywood trades and all that, they'll put things out that'll say, for your consideration. Sometimes there's like full page ads, and when the LA Slimes or there's something in the Hollywood Reporter or whatever, and they'll just tell their accolades about their particular for their particular creative that they want to nominate. But apparently on Monday, Disney comes out with this poster for The Mandalorian for Emmy consideration, and they have Gina Carano on there. Of course, she deserves to be on there, but considering what happened with her and how they treated her, now all of a sudden, when they want to be considered for Emmy nomination, they bring her on there. So for people who really don't know about what's the deal with this Emmy business, what do you think why Disney would do something like this?
Well, I've actually been in this situation. I was submitted by Showtime for an Emmy for the episode of Sleeper Cell that I wrote, right? So I went through this directly, and it was quite flattering at the time. But what it is you then come to understand that what the Emmys are for the industry, in the same way the Oscars are for the film industry, but the Emmys for the TV industry are a marketing scheme. They are purely a PR marketing scheme to get more people to watch your stuff. That's their purpose. The awards serve that purpose. And internally, these kinds of campaigns are done purely out of competition with other studios, right? So it's essentially the marketing department has its own mind and is on automatic, right? And is going to put this out there. However, considering what happened with Gina and how poorly she was treated,
right,
it is surprising what they did here, right? Because when someone is officially canceled, even the marketing people are like, okay, we can't actually promote that person for an award, right? It's not gonna, because again, they're not worried about the public, because the public isn't the one canceling them, right? They're worried about what the people at the cocktail party are gonna say. It's like, oh, you're promoting XYZ who was this sexual predator that we all knew about before, but now it's out, we can't associate. So that's a pretty risky move there. You want to do that, right? So they don't want that conversation. So it's very interesting to me that this happened, because it had to have been approved. The awards things are major marketing plans, and they are approved very high up in the company, right?
Right. For
this to be approved, if to push Gina Carano, tells me I think this is how they're going to handle her moving forward, which is, and it's up to her. It's up to her if she wants to play along, and I can't answer whether she will or she won't. But their ideal goal is to bring her back and pretend none of it happened. Just ignore it. Because they can't bring any attention to it. They can't bring any attention to it, because that will shake up the whole narrative of, of Miss Kennedy or whatever as the queen of Hollywood. And they can't bring attention to it. And everyone knows the truth. Excuse me. Everyone knows the truth. But keep going. Just keep walking. That's what Hollywood does. Don't put any attention to it. Bring her back. She might come right back to The Mandalorian, and there's no announcement. There's no apology. There's just like, oh, she's back in The Mandalorian. I think that's their plan. I don't know if Gina's going to go along with it. If she does, God bless her, right? It's her free choice. But I think that's their plan.
Can I jump in quickly? I don't think they'll bring her back in. I don't think she wants to come back in. I think she's happy where she is, and she would not trade her soul, her standards, her principles for how things went down to come back on the show.
Well, maybe she is definitely a principled woman. So that's what I said. I don't know what they think is going to happen, but that's their plan, I think.
I think she'd come back if there was one way. Her and KK threw down in an MMA fight, and they see who, I think that would be the best way to go, because there's only, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for how Gina would consider coming back. I don't know her well enough to answer that, and so
none of us are.
It's not my business. And if she comes back, God bless her, right? I'll support her 100%, and I'll resubscribe to Disney Plus. But I can speak for me. If I had gone through this, and this is me, and this is my character, right? If I had gone through this, I wouldn't come back. I wouldn't necessarily seek an apology, right? Because that's asking people to give up face, right? That's not something of value, because you're asking people to shame themselves. They're not going to do that, right?
Right.
But I would ask, I personally would not return unless Ms. Kennedy was out and the Lucasfilm, flying monkeys were gone. That's a condition I would put. And you don't have to make an announcement, you have to do anything. I just wouldn't come back until they were not in place. And that's my character. I can't speak to how Gina would react to this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how she would react to this. If she went back to The Mandalorian, I'd support her 100%, because that's her decision. No one can tell you, what to do. The choice is up to you. Me, as someone on the outside looking in, I'm the kind of person where if you're going to treat me like that, there's no way I'm going to give you a second chance to do the same thing and put myself back in that position.
There's one caveat. If she were to come back, I know in my heart it would primarily be for Jon Favreau, who I do believe she has great affection for and respects. Favreau's not responsible.
Yeah.
These are shadowy, sinister people trying to screw him up, and Gina knows that. And so if she came back, one should never think she's giving up her principles or kowtowing to Disney.
Exactly.
Of loyalty towards a good friend.
Exactly. Because considering, how she handled everything, the woman has extremely high principles. So I could totally see her saying, you know what, for the sake of what Jon Favreau did for me, I would go back. And that's the attitude that you would have, because if you
he's putting his career on the line, whether she, she knows that whatever he's talking about to whomever, Chapek or in the background, he's putting his career on the line for her. You know, she may not have asked him to, she may not have wanted him to, but he's done it. That I don't have any doubt about. I know he's out there talking to the board and saying we got to bring her back, and that's putting his career. And so if he did all of that and she says no, that's 100% her choice. I just think that she's fully aware that this friend of hers is putting his life on the line for her.
Yeah,
because I've been in a similar situation in corporate America. You have some of these VPs, the higher level, making decisions, and my boss is below the VPs, but is fighting for me for whatever political reason. I get kicked out. Then months later, I'm getting asked to come back, and I'm like, I don't know if I really, really want to because of X, Y, and Z person. And they're just like, I understand, but it's like, but I'll come back if you ask me. To hell with the other two people. I don't freaking care about them. You ask me to come back, then I will for you. Because you have these people, these people up at these levels, like at KK's levels, that are playing these, these games. And it's like, no matter how hard you fight, if you're in that particular position, you've got these people over you that have, that have final say. But I just know for me as a fan on the outside looking in, it just seems reprehensible to me. It's like you're going to pretend as if nothing happened, pretend as if you didn't visibly fire this woman. Granted, it was like her contract was up, but the way that they did that and then add fuel onto it, saying that, she erroneously, she held views that were like disrespectful to other groups. It's like, you didn't have to freaking go there. And then you have Lucasfilm employees treating fans like crap and gaslighting them. And then it's just like, okay, so you couldn't do this Emmy thing on your own. You had to bring in someone that you basically trashed, someone who was so supportive of the fans. So to me, it's just
no, it is ugly, but I want you to look at that ad. Who is that ad targeted to? It's targeted to me. I'm a member of the Television Academy. That ad is for me because I can vote. I can vote in the Emmys. I do vote in the Emmys, right? And so that ad isn't being targeted towards Disney shareholders. Hey, you can see it down. It's not targeting towards Disney shareholders. It's not targeted towards the public. It's not even targeted towards the cocktail party crowd of high-level executives. It's targeted towards Television Academy voters, which tells you something, which means that they have concluded that the members of the Television Academy aren't on board with what they did to Gina Carano. They've concluded that people, not even outspoken people like me, just the average person who's got a TV Academy card is saying, yeah, I don't think that's right. And so they are putting the message out there to them because that's their audience for this. That says something. That says something about where the industry is.
Wow. This is why we have you on here, Cameron, to give us this idea. Because as someone, again, like as someone who's like a fan, you're looking at this and you're just like, are you freaking serious right now?
Yeah. But it's not aimed for the fans. It's aimed for people like me that can vote for the Emmys.
That's crazy.
I got you. But that's how it works. Hollywood is one crazy town. I can't even get to it.
A professor of mine in film school once said this. He says, it's not that appearances count in Hollywood. That's all there are. Nothing is real. Even movies just appear to move. They're just photographs on a film reel, or they're just pixels. They don't actually move, right? And so we talk about movies, right? So none of it is real. It's all an illusion. And the only way you can do that is you gotta keep the illusion going. And sometimes the best way, if a magic trick falls apart, is for the sleight of hand. The magician just doesn't bring attention to it and immediately turns your attention away so that you forget about that magic trick not working.
Interesting. Well, folks, we have 66 of you all watching. Thank you so very much. And let's see. We have a super chat here from Tom, Midnight's Edge After Dark, for $2. Thank you so very much. How stupid is it Fisher Stevens apologized for
Scott Campbell?
What's this all about?
Or Short Circuit. Circuit.
What's this all about? What's going on?
Short Circuit. He corrected himself.
I don't know what's happening here. What's this all about?
Fisher Stevens, applied for,
Give me a second. Apologize
for the movie Short Circuit?
What? Because there were there like Indian stereotypes in Short Circuit, if I remember correctly.
That might be it. Okay,
Oh,
wait.
here we go. I got it.
Oh,
Okay, all right. You know
I was
what?
right.
I have a bone to pick with this. Why?
Nobody
Why?
remembers Short Circuit. This is just a way to get attention.
Got it.
I mean, my goodness. Are you? Oh,
Yep, I got it. It's right
Hang
there.
on. Regrets doing brown face. It definitely. Okay,
It definitely haunts me.
okay, so that was the joke. Because I'm like, Fisher. Okay, no, it's not Ray Fisher. Fisher's what? What? The fact that we couldn't figure out who this person was. And
when he got himself back in the news after 20 years.
Dang it, Hollywood.
What's he gonna apologize? What's he gonna apologize next for? I'm sorry, I wasn't a real hacker in Hackers, and I never made a Leonardo virus, Michelangelo virus.
Listen, this guy. Listen, I'm so sorry for hurting you. What?
You know what?
No one remembers this.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him whatsoever because dude just got himself back on people's radar.
Oh my god!
How many?
His agent is like, "Shit, man, on break."
Wait a minute. What about the guy who voiced Johnny Five? Is he going to apologize because he wasn't really a robot? Are we going to get this next? Like, oh my god!
You know, one of the funniest movies ever made is Peter Sellers playing an Indian in The Party. He's totally brown-faced playing an Indian. Have you ever seen The Party? It is one of the funniest movies. It's up there with the best of Pink Panther. It's a classic movie from the 60s, The Party, where Peter Sellers plays basically an Indian actor wannabe who shows up in LA and accidentally blows up the set of the movie that he's an extra on. Literally blows it up by accident. Like they're doing an explosive scene. And he sits down in the explosive box before they set it up and blows the whole set up, right? So that's the opening scene. And then he's out, right? He's fired from the movie, but but accidentally through some kind of clerical error, he gets an invite to the director's mansion for a party they're throwing that night. So he sort of bumbles in there, and it's like being there. He just walks in as this sort of bumbling Indian guy. By the end of the movie, he's literally destroyed the entire mansion. But it is the funniest movie I have seen, and he's brilliant playing an Indian guy who's like in his own world, doesn't realize what's happening.
I have to see that movie. Oh my gosh, that's going on my list. Snorter Pupus Cuber says a super intelligent character. What a terrible stereotype. This is what I don't get because he was intelligent. Okay, I was going to college with guys like him, like that character. It didn't bother me. I'm like, that looks like Professor So-and-so or whatever. That's the first thing that I identified with. So why should you freaking apologize for that? Why?
Wait, I'm sorry. I gotta say something seriously now. I apologize for not really being a fat person. I appropriated fatness in my
Did you wear a fat suit?
Yeah, I wear a fat suit every time I get on the internet because someone might see me.
Suit. Dash D's for
you are
10
body
Canadian.
Positive. You are promoting body positivity.
That's right. Body positivity.
No, I'm promoting I love Twinkies. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a difference.
Well, you had that right because health is oppressive. So
I'm cream filled, sir.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with Twinkies unless there's what's that word? Paranormal activity, and the Twinkie is bigger than it's supposed to be. But other than that,
that's a big Twinkie.
My heart was broken as a kid when I discovered that Twinkies had lard in them, so I can't eat them because they're made with animal shortening with torque with lard.
Yeah.
And I loved Twinkies as a kid.
Isn't there vegan ones?
They probably taste like garbage, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's some things you don't mess with, and it's like just don't don't taste it. So Dash D's for 10 Canadian dollars. Thank you so very much for the support. Hollywood is like any other system or organization, like the Army or the Masons. They can have their own ways and functions for the group that no one who isn't in the group can understand. Yeah, because I would go to Hollywood parties with actor friends of mine, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm around freaking aliens. What the heck is going on? And it just felt strange to me, but they're like, no, this is great. And it's like their own, I don't know. It's kind of like their own way of doing things. It's like a language you outside looking in don't understand,
Yeah.
but that they do.
There's been no uproar inside the industry that Gina Carano has been nominated for, or at least they want her nominated. They're pushing for her to be nominated, right? There's no. I'm not getting any emails saying we've got to. How can nobody in the industry is talking about it because they're all like, yeah, she deserves a nomination. They're not even thinking about it. They're not thinking. They're not processing what happened to her, nor do they care.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, they're like, it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, and then because at the end of the day, everyone's a fraud. Gina's actually not a fraud, but everyone knows his industry is a fraud. Everyone
yes, that was
could be outed for Me Too or this or that, and then you immediately have to turn against them, right? Because he knows, and it's not personal. It's just I gotta survive. We're both scumbags, but you got outed, so I gotta distance myself from you. It's not personal.
It's just one of those things that I learned living in LA, even though I was working in IT. Again, friends of mine who were in that industry, I would hear these stories and I'm just like, well, why the frick do you put up with that? Well, I have to go to the right party and I have to get connected with the right person. And that's how these things work, even to the point where I think we were where the heck were we at? I said, yeah, let's go out for drinks. Let's go to the California Pizza Kitchen. Okay, well, we have to go to the California Pizza Kitchen in Studio City. Why can't we just go to the one in Burbank? No, because so-and-so who's a producer or whoever goes to the California Pizza Kitchen in Studio City. So we have to go to one in Studio City.
Yeah, you gotta be seen. Look, it's like if you remember in The Godfather at the end when they're taking everybody out. They got this one guy who's like they're like tell him, okay, well, it's time for you to go, which means he knows he's gonna be killed, and he says, just tell him, just tell him it wasn't personal, it was just business, right? Everyone knows the rules internally, right? None of this is personal.
It's business.
It's business. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you just, you may not necessarily want to play the game, but you need to know how that game is played.
Well, it's going to be played on you if you don't understand it, right?
Exactly.
You're going to be the victim of that game. You're if you don't know who the mark is, you're the mark.
Anger the rain on nobody. I have gotten people. I have gotten the attention of people just for being around. We need to talk to so-and-so, get attention at so-and-so producer. Hey, go over there and go order so-and-so. I'm like, you just want me to go order a drink? Yeah. Go order a drink and stand right next to that guy because we heard that he's casting for such and such a movie and we want to get his attention. I'm just like,
yeah. Everyone's scrambling. Everyone's trying to find an angle. I did that for several years here. I was always trying to be at the right place and trying to find. And I finally realized nobody gave a damn about me, and so none of it mattered. And so I just focused on my work then because they weren't going to let me in the club, and so all those schemes weren't going to work. So I was just going to have to just do the work.
I would hear all those jokes about the clubs in Hollywood and the people they let in and not let in, depending on what you look like. And I thought that was BS until some friends of mine went to a club. Some actor friends that I went to a club would not let them in. Yeah. They're like, no, you got to get.
No, not you.
Yeah, no, not you. You can go in, but no, not you. Not you.
Well, I think it was in 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think they made a joke of that. Is like, when the wife, she shows up with her girlfriend to go to the club and she's now like in her 30s and the club bouncer doesn't want to let her in. And she couldn't handle it. He's like, I'm gonna get fired. I can't let you in. I can't,
I know. It's just
I'm gonna get fired.
Oh my gosh, I did. Oh man, it's some days I miss LA. And other days I'm just like, I can't deal with that place. It's definitely an experience. I'll tell you that's for sure. But folks, we have 76 people watching. You folks are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. We're here with Kamran Pasha, and this is kind of like the clapback to the documents that got leaked over the weekend with the voluntary training about promoting critical risk. Yes, exactly. Volunteer one at Disney. So those documents had gotten leaked. So kudos to Clownfish TV. They had actually broke the story with putting like the pieces together for what's going on. But of course, no one had heard anything from Disney
Mm-hmm.
about it immediately. And the question was, is this your stuff? Is this your stuff? Yes or no? And waiting to hear. Well, apparently last night, it was actually Geeky Sparkles from Clownfish TV was actually in the Toxic Femme chat last night and had told us what they'd said. So, update. A Walt Disney Company spokesperson sent a statement to Breitbart News after our initial story ran on Saturday. The statement was identical to the one sent to Christopher Rufo. Now, Christopher Rufo is the whistleblower on Twitter who initially dropped this story first. So since it's one guy with screenshots, screenshots can be doctored. It's kind of like, is it true? Is it not true? But then other national outlets, including Breitbart, started picking it up. So it started getting legs. So they sent Christopher Rufo this canned statement. And Breitbart says here, these internal documents are being deliberately distorted as reflective of company policy.
That's true. It's true. Trader Sam actually verified that all of those things were being distorted by Trader Sam.
I love how it's internal documents of our company do not reflect our company.
Yes, but it's your stuff, though. It's like that line Judge Judy likes to say, don't pee down my leg and tell me it's raining.
So, can I ask a question? So what they're saying is, yes, it's our stuff, but you're distorting it. So just focus on the fact that it's being distorted. Don't pay attention to the fact.
Right, but they don't explain how it's distorted because it's not distorted.
No, it's
why is it I can picture these documents? Like, how you have the confident classified documents, right? And they put black Sharpie over certain sentences. Why do I picture that? But instead, it's just like Mickey Mouse ears everywhere.
Well, what it is it's the standard, fake denial that we all know is fake, which is I was taken out of context. If I'm ever taken out of context, God forbid, I would say this is how I was taken out of context. This is what I meant to say, and this is how you misrepresented me. But when you just say you're taking my quote out of context without explaining it, it means no, it was taken correctly in context.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, let me grab this here. This super chat for Dash D's for $5 Canadian. Thank you. If I had access to the bull hit in Disney, I'd be rich selling it to farmers. We could fertilize Montana and Kansas. Yeah, they are full of it, but they're trying to pretend that that they're not. And again, this was an internal document that quote unquote got leaked. But it's interesting how they don't talk about the very public facing document for corporate responsibility, where you see Reimagine Tomorrow through like 5 slides throughout that whole presentation. It pretty much lays out what they're doing with respect to diversity and inclusion and, with this whole racial bias thing going on.
What this release is again, it's about the audience. This release is get off our back, jerk, right? That's all this release is, because everyone in the town knows that we have to do these stupid trainings. No one believes in them. No one believes the people pushing these trainings believes in them, but we all got to do it to present the face of the game, right? That we're all wearing the proper masks to play our role in the game, right? And so, but this is all just a get off our case, because you have no idea. We're under the pressure of we got to do this stuff in order to play the corporate, dance.
But yeah, Kermit, it did spread across the internet before they could respond. It spread like freaking wildfire,
which drove them crazy.
It did.
Do you imagine these people, the spokesperson who had to write to Breitbart, the idea that they had to write to Breitbart and defend themselves? They must have wanted to shoot themselves in the head. They didn't want to. These people don't even want to acknowledge that places like Breitbart exist, right? And I think I have some criticism of Breitbart. I think the old Breitbart was a lot more honest than maybe this one is, but it's still a powerful voice, right? And and they don't want to deal with it, and so they have to do this.
No, they don't, because Coke already got busted publicly for something like this. And Kamran, like you were saying, this type of training is not new. It's been out there. As a matter of fact, I put something on Twitter that I had to sit through something today about quote unquote diversity and inclusion and all that. And to update people, I did ask, they did respond to my question with a non-answer.
What was your question? I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
No, I'd asked them. I said, "So, what's your concrete plan for equity? What do you? I hear this equity thing being said in the training, but what's your concrete plan for implementing equity?" I got a soft shoe dance. I'm like,
Well,
okay,
we're working on the
that's what I thought it was
process,
gonna
and
be. We're working on. It's kind of nebulous right now, but it's very
these trainings are
important
part
to
of
us.
it.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, keep
Well, I
that
would
being
ask, what do you by equity? Is the CEO going to have the same salary as me? What do you mean by that?
It was just
who is equitable in the situation?
Yeah.
What is the tier of equity that I get to be part of?
It's one of those things where it's like one-sided, like there's the Zoom call, and then there's the other site that you go to submit your questions, and they pick the questions from the hat. It's it's one of those.
But they
It's
picked your
one of
questions,
those.
so they got stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they picked that. So let's put it this way: something happened where they couldn't really avoid not answering that question.
There were multiple of those questions, and they couldn't escape it. Eventually, they had to pick one, and yours was it.
Exactly. Deranged Lunatic, thank you so much for the 99-cent super sticker, and it is a Democon.
I am the Pegasus. I come bearing horrible tidings of war from the...
Yeah. Less talky, more flappy.
Yes, my unicorn sounds like Optimus Prime. It didn't help that I broke it on FNT. Yes, Tom did break that on FNT. I was at the gym, so I couldn't see all of FNT. You guys broke that, but yeah, he broke it on FNT. Then I think Saturday. Did what?
Did Disney call him on FNT?
I don't think so. I think it because it blew up there because Tom, dropped the story there.
Midnight's Edge. Disney knows Midnight's Edge. They know him.
Oh yeah,
they know him. They know Doomcock. They know a few of these guys. They fear them.
Mm-hmm. But it's just like it just spread. Mm-hmm. And then that Steven had sent me a tweet about it. And
oh my God!
And I'm like, is it for? Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because I'm just like, if it grows legs, it'll grow legs. Because when Coke's program got out, people were all over that. Disney already had a target on its back. So it's just like, oh, Disney, really? Let's check out and see what it is.
Oh, here, the Drunk Superio's here. The drunk, Disney doesn't know you. I don't actually think that's true, Drunk.
That's not true. That's not true, darling. They know who you are.
Know who you are very well.
They know who all of us
brought up in corporate meetings. I promise you. So yeah.
Do you think they have a chance of changing their name to the Magical World of Privilege?
But that's what you don't reveal. You don't reveal what's what's going on behind the curtain, right?
No, you never give up the con. That's what I was told. You never, con artists, you never give up the con, no matter how much they try to torture you. Never freaking.
You gotta stick with it. And just to finish what I was saying with Drunk, my greatest tragedy is I think they know who I am too, and so that doesn't necessarily help my career when my name. That's why I was off Twitter. They know who I am as well.
They know who you are. They have minions whose job is to know who you are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sounds crazy, but yeah, it's true. Trust me. They have people.
Disney is a company in particular that seeks to control the narrative more so than any of the other studios. Disney has been structured to do that for decades, to control its public image. Warner Brothers doesn't have a public image, really. It just we make movies and TV shows, right? Maybe you don't like some of them. Disney has a public image, and so it has to control that public image. And it's lost control of it.
Completely.
And Disney does know Drunk because he did steal Minnie Mouse away from Mickey. So technically, they do know him as stealing away the women from the theme park. So, but this is so
at least
stupid.
The characters.
Own your stuff. Just own your stuff.
Well, it's like I said, you never give up the con.
They give up their con every month. Twice sometimes.
No, they don't.
Really?
No, they don't.
Well, you can't ever. I remember when I had a conversation on one of the shows that I worked on. I won't say which show it was, but it was a show where there was a lot of disrespect and abuse of minorities happening. And I sat down with the number 2 on the show, and I said, "This is what's going on here." And I'm a person of color. this black woman just got mistreated here, and and we're all covering for the white women who were the sacred cows of the show, right? You white women couldn't do anything wrong, they were doing it. And he got so tense, his face turned, like he was Mr. Friendly Guy, his face turned iron hard, and I almost thought, I was like, is this guy gonna hit me? I mean, he got so flustered that I was saying out loud what no one is allowed to say. You're not even allowed to say this internally. You're allowed to grumble to your friends. You can't actually bring up Hollywood's racism internally. You can't do it. If you do it, you are violating the code of omerta. And I knew I was out at that moment, and he knew I was out at that moment.
Yeah, because actually, Kermit the Frog. Maybe they should probably make sure that this stuff isn't easy to find on their websites, or are they that dumb and figure out no one would care to look? Here's what they don't, two things. They don't care to look, and they don't care about the person who's like, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to expose it. It takes one disgruntled person to dig it up.
But that's the leak that came out with the whole Carano thing when the firing happened. That was a leak. It had to be a leak because they haven't made a statement, and it came out and she found out that way. So it takes one disgruntled or one person who has a soul. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make the relation. My apologies.
That analogy is because that was an intentional jab. That wasn't a leak. That was done specifically by Lucasfilm.
Then I misunderstood
that. That was a knife in the back. This case, it's more of like,
this is revealing secrets that they don't want.
Exactly, because that material, if you look at it, I should have had the link up. If you look at it, it looks like something that's printed internally that will usually have some disclaimer on the bottom that says for internal use only, like they specifically property
of Disney Corporation.
Exactly, that's what they would do with it. Hey, the Sea Man for $5. Thank you so very much, Reina. It is my privilege to be your ally. Oh well, thank you. Just keep me in energy drinks and Fiji water. We'll get along perfectly fine.
Not bad on that one.
But one thing I want to get to here, which they say here.
Yeah.
Okay. These internal documents are being deliberately distorted as reflective of company policy, when in fact their purpose was to allow diversity of thought and discussion on the incredibly complex and challenging issues of race and discrimination that we in a society and companies nationwide are facing. Okay, let me tell you this. That's complete BS. That whole document was set up to shut down discussion.
It is the religious dogma you're being taught. You can't question what that is, right? Diversity of thought. I mean, someone tweeted out to Gina Carano, what do you think about this diversity of thought line, right? I don't know. I don't think she responded to it, but someone tweeted that out. I was like, diversity of thought, Gina, you agree with this?
It's like there's no diversity of thought. You can't question your coworker. I hate to say of color because everyone's a person of color, so that's
but we've got to use the language
exactly. So we have
to
use the lexicon that they give us. So it's like you can't question your Black coworker's experience. You can't challenge them on if something is racist or not. So at least they say if you're white, you can't do that. I don't know if
because there's no racism against white people ever, right? So we don't even have the ability to ask that question because that's the prerogative.
Here's the other thing that they don't address either. They make it seem as if these other groups cannot be racist as well, and that's a fallacy. That's a complete and total fallacy.
It's within ethnic groups, they're shading racism.
Yeah.
In ethnic groups, there's like, I'm darker than you, I'm lighter than you. There's this crap, right? You know, it's human nature to find ways to differentiate. And if you're a person of bad character, to be bigoted towards the difference.
Yeah. Racism. Sorry. Go ahead, Reina. I'll go after.
So another thing that I was going to add here is that they act as if America is the only country that has a problem with racism. Do you really want me to get into the issue of Latin American countries where there's racism against Afro-Latinos? Because we can get into that, but no.
Brazil, you could go to Argentina. Argentina. When I went to Chile, I was like, a lot of white people here. There's nobody else here. I was like, I thought it was Latin America.
No, it's something like
this population. There's like, oh, there's no indigenous left. We took care of that.
It's something called mestizaje, which I probably screwed that up, Spanish word. But there's a saying in Peru where they talk about the Black grandma in the closet, Or people like, oh, I'm white. Okay, well, what does your grandparents look like? Let's see what they look like. Oh, no, they don't want to talk about that.
I won't reveal their name, but there was somebody that was following my old Twitter account that would always get into these dumb arguments with me. Gentleman I think was from South America, right? And and he was very right wing, and that's fine. But he kept saying, "Stop saying Latinos, are people of color, and we're white." I'm like, yeah, buddy, I don't think people in Hollywood think you're white. And he didn't like that, right? Because his idea was like, I'm not brown, I'm not dark. I'm like, buddy, okay, why is this an issue for you? It's like you're hiding the African grandmother in the closet, right?
That's completely it. Because when I research my family's history and I connect with other cousins who were in Latin American countries, they tell me this. They say, at least in the US, you have protections against that. In a lot of Latin American countries, we do not. And there is blatant discrimination against, Afro-Latinos, against, indigenous ones that are there, but they don't like to talk about it.
No, I mean, I've worked in Europe, I've worked in Britain, I've worked in France. The most bigotry I have felt as a Pakistani and as a Muslim were in Britain and France. I felt it. I never felt it in America. I felt it on the tube in London, as people staring at me, people saying crap to me as I would walk by them. I felt it as people mocking me in Paris, right? So, and when French, I would like, you guys got a bit of a racist country. Like, we are all French. What do you talk? We are all French. I was like,
Moreno Papi, yeah.
French.
I gotta ask a question. I tried thinking about this and it hurts my brain. When did it become racism is more of a genetic thing, that if you're only this skin color, you can't be racist towards another skin color? Like, when did it start a belief that it was on the genetic level rather than its choice or how you're raised? You can hate whoever you want. You can be bigoted to whoever you want, but it's not like it's it's grown within your genetic code, and people seem to believe this and push this narrative now. It's
part of the word systemic, right? When you use systemic or systematic racism, you are saying that it is inherent to culture, and that when you start deconstructing that, it comes down to it's inherent to DNA and to ancestry.
That's stupid, though, because it's like just walking out of your house going, oh, look, there's Jim. He's going to say something racist today because of that skin color. Let's hope Frank doesn't say something back.
Well, also another thing that you have to understand about the history of the United States and the history in, like, say, Latin America and even Canada to a certain degree, in order to control the enslaved population, that's where a lot of this came up with. You have the Black codes, you have the Black codes that were in America, you had the Black codes that were in the Caribbean, you had the Black codes that were in French colonies as well. That's where a lot of that grew out of. Eventually, we got to a point where in the US, we had the Civil Rights Act, all of that, couldn't do that anymore. But unfortunately, they are turning the clock back.
Of course there is.
In this country to now, it's like it's flipped. So now instead of those attributes being attributed to, like, say, someone who's Black or someone who's indigenous, I'll say of African descent, or someone who's indigenous, instead of codes for them, instead now it's white people who are this, that, and the other thing, and and inherently
in the process they resurrect Black segregation.
Exactly.
In the process, the practical result is you go right back to this is your water fountain, this is the other guy's water fountain.
Exactly, because let's see, Argentinian soccer legend Diego Maradona is seen as a Black person in his home country. I can tell you this in the United States, because there's Puerto Rican guy, he married into my family, I want to say in like the 1900s, because he was dark skinned when he came from Puerto Rico. On the US Census, he is listed as Black. Yep.
Well, you look, there is a unique and troubling history to America when it comes to concept of race, as you pointed out. It was also because of the very specific type of chattel slavery we had here that even wasn't unlike anything that was happening in the rest of the world. We had things here where slave masters would impregnate the slave women, and then they would enslave the children, their own children born of that were not born free. Slavery existed in the Islamic world. Unfortunately, it still exists in many parts of it. It is not a good thing. I'm not going to come out and say Muslim slavery is a good thing. I'm not going to say that, right? But I'm saying what the difference was in the Muslim world, if you had sex with your slave, the child was always born free because it's your child, and the child would then free the mother, right? Other cultures had ways to try to fix some of this horrible stuff, right? We had none, and that then poisoned it to the point that now the left is doing the same poison again.
Yeah, and it's different different flavors because like you were saying with Muslim slavery, because I didn't even know about that again until I started researching the DNA of my own family and found out that's another way that my family came here. Slavery in the British colonies was different, not better, different
Just
than
different
slavery in the French
Yeah.
colonies and enslavement in the Spanish colonies. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of conflicts that went on between the British and the Spaniards with respect to slavery in Florida. That happened, a lot because under Spanish law, slaves had rights.
Yeah.
You were allowed to purchase your freedom. That price had to be paid, which is why my 6th great grandfather got sued by one of his slaves because he would not set the price, the quotation price to pay to be free. But you could do that. Families weren't supposedly split up under the Spanish
That was one of the most
slavery
extreme
system.
things we did is actually breaking up parents and children. That's severely. Malcolm X talked about it. It severely damaged the Black community in this country in a way that others didn't experience.
Yeah, but it's just like this is you can't remedy racism with more racism, and the fact that they sign off on this and then pretend as if, oh no, we don't. No, you're not seeing what you're seeing. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Just no.
The tragedy of all this, and it's true of all of these kinds of educational things that these corporations do, is you sit there, and I've been through these kinds of trainings and whenever I'm on a TV show, we're like, oh God, the HR person's coming, here we go, training time, right? And you sit there and everyone smiles and plays along, and you can see the irritation, the anger, and the resentment in everyone's eyes. No one is being changed by this. They're just getting angry. And it's increasing their whatever feeling that they may have that might turn into bigotry. I'm seeing it on their faces because they're all being forced to say something, to nod and smile at something they don't believe in.
It's just,
and they always send sort of like the token Black person in HR to do that, and so the resentment is then focused on them. You're coming in here making me say this stuff, and so
and it's just ridiculous. But I will say, it's interesting because on Toxic Femme we were taking the privilege test that Disney administered. Okay, that thing was bleeding red with me taking that. So I don't exist. They can't have me around.
Well, it's like that musician Zubi, the British Nigerian musician, right? I love Zubi was saying on Twitter, he's like, I don't understand the West is obsession with privilege. I'm privileged, I'm this Nigerian immigrant kid who's become a successful musician. I like being privileged. I don't want to go back to that. I'm living in Britain and I'm making money as a rapper. I like this privilege.
I have met so many people from other countries who find out, oh, you live in America? You get to do X, Y, Z. I'm like telling my Brazilian cousins, I'm like, yeah, we have certain protections for X, Y, and Z. They're like, we wish that we had those, here. And it's just like, yeah, I have a lot of protections. I have a lot of privilege here in the US. I'm like, and I have traveled abroad and have come back. As soon as I landed back in the US and passed customs, you fall on the ground, kiss the ground because you're glad to be back in America. Oh yeah.
Every time, Lorena, people don't question this. I'm a Pakistani Muslim guy. You would think this is a oppressed dude. Every time I come back through the airport when I've spent time in a foreign country, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm back here. Oh, thank God I'm back here. Because ain't nothing better than this place. With all of its flaws, there's nothing better than this country.
Nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, we are. And I think it's a shame that so many people don't realize how good that we have it here. And if you think that we don't have it good here, talk to some immigrants who've gone through hell to get here.
See, this is the funny thing that I talk about, and I've talked about it. And again, we are talking somewhat politically here, but I'll share my views, which is this: the conversation right now about immigration, legal or illegal, there's a lot of this sort of hidden stuff that is happening that people aren't saying out loud here. So I'm going to say it out loud. Those on the left that want more immigrants to come here legally or illegally, they are hoping that those immigrants are going to come join the woke agenda, when most of them are actually quite hardworking, family values, traditional people that are risk takers, entrepreneurs who are willing to come to another country and start all over from the bottom to rise to the top. So they tend to be pretty, conservative people, And then you have some people on the right who are like, man, those immigrants coming here, legal or illegal, they're gonna join the Democrats. No, they're not. So both of you guys don't understand who these people are that you're talking about. Both of you have a bigotry towards them. You leftists are going to get real disappointed when they don't join the woke gender conversation. And you guys are pissed off that they're actually doing the entrepreneurial work that you're talking about. They're actually doing it.
It's just, yeah. Because I've been in there and I've listened to some of these conversations from just, do you understand what you sound like right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they make this assumption, oh, well, they come over here, you know, they're gonna, you know, vote leftist and they're just gonna vote for Democrats. Come here and
take all these welfare stuff. Like I know people who are legal immigrants, and I know some people that aren't here documented, right? None of them want to be on welfare. They're all trying to make money and they want the American dream.
It's like reality. It is like an insult to like come here for someone to say it's an insult for me just to come here and just take money and not work. It's like that doesn't you know, that doesn't make sense
coming here. I mean, you turn your whole life upside down to a whole place you often don't speak the language. And you know, like my parents, we all immigrated legally here in the 70s. My father was a successful guy working in a bank in Karachi, Pakistan. And he came here and he told me he was so full of the American dream. And he told me the story. It really burned him in his heart. He came here, worked so many years to get his green card to come to America. And he finally got it. Moved us all here. And the first meeting he had at a bank in New York City, it was in those chemical banks. It used to be a big bank in the 70s and 80s, right? And he walked in. My father was like British, you know, private convent school in Pakistan. His English was more like James Bond. You know, he talked like James Bond. He had that very nice British inflection, and he better English than me. And he walked in and he gave his resume, and he told me how the bank manager took the resume, looked at it, goes, "Oh, so you worked at the United Bank of Pakistan in Karachi." And he crumpled the resume and threw it on the ground and said, "I might be able to get you work as a janitor here."
What the?
And my dad would take those jobs. He would take those jobs because he was willing to take the step down, many steps down, so that I would have a chance. And now I'm a screenwriter in Hollywood, right? He never got back to the social status he had in Pakistan in his whole life. He didn't do it, right? And that's the thing that the conversation, no one is being honest about that.
No. And again, that's why it's like if people get to talk to each other, you get these exchanges and you learn them. Even if the exchange isn't quite, you know, neat and tidy up front and it's kind of messy, but at least you have that interaction. They're trying to shut down questioning that, you know, at all. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but folks, you know what? You got to have that conversation.
And
no matter
like us can have this conversation because there's all this polarized conversation that's on Twitter and whatever. It's just words without a human connection. It's actually, I think, something like YouTube allows us to present ourselves as real human beings to each other and allow a real conversation.
Right. Absolutely. Well, speaking of conversation, Steven has this article.
I see a lovely lady on the screen. I'm awake now.
Can we just stare? Can we just stare at the redhead for a little while?
Can we please? Because the original artwork, okay, because I didn't collect them often, but the covers that I would collect for Spider-Man, if Mary Jane was on it. I saw that artwork and I'm just like, oh my God, that's freaking gorgeous. And I'm like, yeah, I do have a pair of ripped jeans somewhere. You know? Really? Yes, I thought it was gorgeous art. But apparently that's you know, that's wrong. I should feel oppressed and I should feel objectified at that kind of art. I'm sorry. I thought that's what comics art was supposed to be. Just beautiful.
Comics are archetypal fantasies.
Well, you know, fictional drawings now of fictional characters are so insulting that they'll just come after you when you're sleeping and give you paper cuts because, you know, they hurt so many people. Escapism is so mean now, isn't it?
To respond to Awesome One, bring back redheads. I'm a huge redhead
Mary
fan.
Jane Street. You know what? Yeah, I was a redhead quite a long time ago. I may have to bring that back.
Well, you know, my heart is still broken because the great redhead of my childhood, you know, Tawny Katane just passed away, right?
I know.
And that broke me because as a kid, I mean, watching her dance on those White Snake videos, I was like, okay, I like girls. There's no question about that right now. There's I
You
identify
know what?
with girls.
I tell people before video hoes showed up in like rap videos, there was Tawny Katane in one step.
She was elegant. She's there. She's dancing in high heels on a like sports car, and she's elegant and gracious and beautiful and whatever. God bless her.
Yep, absolutely. It's so sad she's gone because I just loved her. Yeah, the great one is here. Yeah. I've heard that story many times. I went to school with people whose grandparents or parents came from foreign countries like Korea, like the Caribbean, other countries where their medical credentials were not good in the US.
Yeah.
So they had to take whatever job that they had to take to provide for their family and enable the next generation, because that was a symbol of pride. It was like, okay, granted, I couldn't be a doctor in this country or where it was my former country, but you know what? I enabled my kids to get an education. So now my son is a doctor, my daughter's a doctor, my grandkids are doctors. Yeah,
it still works in America and doesn't work in Europe. You know, people always talk about, these Muslim ghettos in Europe. I'm like, oh, you know why there's Muslim ghettos in Europe? Because the family comes here, they get knocked down, and they're like, oh, yeah, your kid actually can't rise beyond this level either. And so it's like, that's Europe, right? That's why this country works.
God, I'm sorry. I that blows my mind. Video honeys. Okay, yeah, I said the other word. I'm sorry.
What words was that?
We're not going to repeat that.
We're not going to repeat what I said. That was. I'm sorry. That's what happens when a little Kim side of my brain isn't put in check. That's what happens. Well, maybe one day, maybe you will see me as a redhead one day.
I would be very into that.
So anyway, I'm sorry. Here we go. So this is the original art, which I thought was gorgeous.
She is gorgeous. All three of them.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm going to do it.
It's beautiful art. It's feminine, you know, and it's lovely, and everyone's eyes are on her. You know, that's her power. Like the superheroes in the picture, but you don't even notice them.
Well, they're actually there twice. They have him in the Spider-Man suit, her on the couch, and the wedding picture behind him.
Yeah. And your eyes are all on her. So, you know,
that's the other thing though. Like even she has freckles too, and a lot of people are like freckles at one time too. So it's like, it's great.
I love Mary Jane. I just love it because, like I said, one of the most prized comics that I have is the issue where Mary Jane and Peter Parker got married.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. But you know what?
There's nothing wrong with this. But I think the conversation we were talking about is that the artist was then being attacked, and then I think he made some apparently, you know, he tried to get himself out of it by you know, saying, well, I don't identify with some of these people that identify with me, and they're all right, and they're not all right.
From my understanding, someone said it was one of those I fixed this kind of thing, right? And then Campbell actually criticized it, and then they went back at him, and then he showed how an actual posture works and showed the sketchwork behind it. And then he put out this huge statement about, oh, I don't believe in bigotry. I don't stand with people who are bigotry, racist, anti this, anti that.
So he's Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. It was like reading a short story. And then what was it? A couple of days later, he's like, this came out, and he's like, after talking to a bunch of people, I realized not everyone with the CG logo is that mean. I'm like,
but what's to his credit? Did Mr. Snyder ever came out and clarify his comments that unfortunately were projected onto Geeks and Gamers? They could have been read either way. He never did.
But Cameron, he might. The problem is he has to do it all in slow-mo, so it might take a while. And in 4:3
our
scale.
friend Abu Nas loves him. Although I think our friend Abu Nas wouldn't necessarily support how he handled the Geeks and Gamers, but whatever.
Yeah, John Ware Jr., you're correct. So much storytelling in that one illustration. Yeah, that's what drew my eye to. It's absolutely beautiful.
Honestly, if you look at it, she looks concerned. She looks worried. She also looks lonely, but she also understands that being in love and being married to a superhero means you have to put yourself second when you have a whole city to save.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what they're not getting here. They're focusing on the woman's posture and the attractiveness rather than the message and how you're supposed to take the cover to yourself.
It's because modern woke are just the modern Puritans.
Lemmings.
Always, yeah, they're part of the DNA of this country that resurrects itself. I mean, the Salem witch trials is our defining birth story, right? And it resurrects itself in every form with a new ideology every time. But that's a dark side of this country. This country is founded both on people seeking freedom and seeking religious freedom and escaping from persecution, and then some fanatics amongst them who decide to recreate it. That's this country's legacy, unfortunately.
Yeah, awesome one. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, but, and here's the other thing. You have a group of disgruntled women, which, to borrow a line from Miss Congeniality, feminists, ugly women who get offended when they see stuff like this. And rather than say, okay, I don't like it, but other people like it, whatever, they want you to hate it as much as they do. And it's not
because
enough.
Their self-esteem is so low. They believe that, first of all, they don't see themselves as attractive. So they believe if eyes are on some version of a woman that people are finding attractive, that it's already the eyes are off of them. It's coming out of self-hatred, right? And so people can't look at beautiful women because they feel ugly. That's a pathology.
But that's it. That's the beauty about the human race, the human figure, whether you're male, female, or whatever you identify as. We come in all shapes and sizes. We come in all different types of hair color, eye color, freckles. That's what the part of being unique is. And the fact that they're trying to change everything to be them shows one thing. They're trying to be unique by taking everyone else unique away and making it them. Yeah. And that's not how you grow as race, as mankind, womankind, whatever you want to call it. It's stalemate.
And 7JC Diva, you nailed it exactly on the head. This picture shows true femininity.
Sorry,
saying I love
wrong.
it, and this comes from a morbidly obese woman. You know what? It's like anybody can appreciate that, because it is a very, very feminine picture illustration. It really is. But you know what? There's a war on femininity. They don't want to see that. Yeah, they have a fear of breast, ass, and thigh. Yeah, that's it. You can't have that.
I have a question, though. I have a question for this, too. I want to ask you guys as well as the chat. When you look at this cover, do you see a woman that is weak? Do you see a woman that's like only sitting there in a beautiful pose that seems like maybe unrealistic to some people? Or do you see someone who has emotion in the actual way it's drawn? Do you see a woman that not only has to be supportive in something she doesn't like, but she's still doing it? Like, you have to look at it, and I don't think they're looking at it the way it is. They're seeing one thing rather than the whole thing. And I keep repeating myself, and it bothers me.
But Lorena is right that there's a war on femininity. It is a cultural war, and it is because of this. It is because a feminine woman is the most powerful force in the room, right? And Lorena knows this. You can go to any Hollywood award party, whatever. The moment a beautiful woman walks in, every eye is on them, and everyone else is forgotten, right? And women know this power, and so this is actually a way to take away women's power, right? And to take away their energy, and to make them sort of shadows of men, where they don't even feel good about themselves. Rather than being part of femininity is, on an archetypal level, is to shine. It is to glow like the sun. It is to bring attention. It is to bring life, right? And they're trying to stifle that and take that light away.
And honestly, I hear every time I hear Mary Jane, a lot of people can recognize this. The only thing you remember hearing is "Go get him, Tiger." That is Mary Jane's #1 line, in my opinion. And you know what that means? No matter how much she hates it, she will support Peter, because Peter has done everything under the sun for her.
And here's the thing. If you haven't read these, you can get the idea by looking at this, but if you've even read the comics, because again, you have these people who don't even read these comics and then understand. If you understand everything that those two went through and they still got married anyway, you would get it.
Yep.
But they don't want to. They don't.
It's love. There's love in the cover.
It's also people that don't really have love in their lives. I find that people who have love in their lives don't have time for all these weirdo ideologies. They just don't.
That's true. That's very, very true. Oh my gosh. Hey, Keely Chow. A beautiful woman can bring a man to his knees. I respect that. Oh,
We
absolutely.
respect that too. It was a conversation I was having with my guy friends about the lack of femininity in our culture. It's like, and that you can't even admit that you like beautiful women, or it's you're problematic. I was just like, for a man's perspective,
Oh,
beautiful women is the purpose of life. It is what gets us get up in the morning, and live and find meaning. I remember, during the height of all this craziness, I was driving down the street here in Santa Monica, and there was a lovely woman who decided not to wear a mask, and she was just wearing a bikini walking down the park. And I got such a blast of energy from just seeing her being feminine and beautiful that I had energy for the whole day. I went home and I wrote like for hours, just pouring that energy out. Just that one moment woke me and made me feel alive. That's the power of it.
wow. Hold on a second. Two things. The Zardoz for $50.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that. That is so extremely generous. Wow. It says, keep up the excellent channel. Thank you. A Hollywood producer was interviewed on cancel culture. Very relevant conversation. Gina is even mentioned. Watch the influence of cancel culture on Hollywood explained. John Duffy on YouTube. Great show. I definitely will, the Zardoz.
I wasn't aware of this.
Will. Yeah, I didn't know.
It was, yeah.
That
Because
is
it's scary for anyone to be talking. It's scary for me to be talking about this stuff publicly.
absolutely. Wow, that is so cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for that $50 super chat. I appreciate that. I have to look at this because I'm an 80s kid. So oh, and Venom. Yeah, I admit I did not think I was gonna like that.
The only thing that throws me off is her big toe. The big toe throws me off. That's the only thing that throws me off.
Yeah, you look at her toe, buddy. You keep looking at
It's
her
like
toe.
Megan Fox.
Sorry, I wasn't even looking. I was just looking at the
It's
wagon.
like, what was that? What was that movie with where she was, what was the movie where the hot girl and the geeky guy and the British girl was in Star Trek? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
A recent movie where it's basically, he's like this loser guy who's with a really hot chick.
Was that the other guys? Mark Wahlberg?
No, that was different. That was different.
All right, I'll find it. I'm gonna
find that one.
But the reason is because one of the jokes in there is, so the geeky loser was with the really hot girl. He finally meets like her ex-boyfriend.
She's the one.
Was it this one? She's the one.
I don't know. I'll look at it. It was Eve. What's her name? From whatever. But the joke was this. So the geeky loser guy, he finally meets her ex-boyfriend. Of course, is a male model type, whatever. And the guy's a bit of a jerk. He sees like his hot ex-girlfriend with a geeky loser, so he tries to pull it down. So he's like, man, she's got some, you don't know about it. She's got a really horrible like thing she hides. Man, she's not as hot as you think she is. And then he gets really like freaked out about it. Like, what is it that she's hiding? What is she hiding? And they finally end up in bed together, and they discover what is hiding is that like between her little toe, there's a little bit of a web, like two toes are connected. And he's like, that's it. He's like, yeah, that's repulsive, man.
Is it She's Out of My League 2010?
I think it might be that one. I'm gonna find that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that now. I'm honestly gonna have to watch that.
It's so funny because he's like, yeah. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can write this one.
I have.
She's out of my league. It was Alice Eve and Jay Baruchel, right? And Mike Vogel played the handsome jerk loser guy. And literally that whole thing is like her hidden imperfection is that the two of her toes have a slight webbing between them.
I swear, I'm gonna have to watch that. It's funny really because I laugh because I would go to conventions and it was so funny because hardly anybody thought that I was attending the convention. They're just like, "You're not the talent. You're." I'm like, no, I'm just here at the convention, just like hanging out, just having a good time.
That's something. Like, just like, yeah. Oh, you must be the beautiful woman hired to attach attention. You're the cosplay girl.
Yep, that was me. I'm just like, people stop you to take.
You're actually at the convention. The one time I went to Comic-Con, which is I guess when we were on Bionic Woman, right? And first time I ever gone to Comic-Con, I went there and I was like, wow, it was all these like incredibly geeky dudes and like 5 incredibly hot women just surrounded by 1,000 geeky dudes. So yeah.
Yeah. I love it when that happens. I'm just saying.
See?
Kate R. Rufo tweeted that Disney took the documents down after defending them. Pardon our pixie dust. The site is currently under technical maintenance for approximately 72 hours. Please check back soon. First rule, you always download those PDFs as soon as they show up. So your girl's got copies.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is nothing can ever escape, right? And so in the modern world, this is standard corporate stuff. Just hope it blows over. They're not going to the way that Coke did. Coke actually fired the lawyer behind their training initiative, and they've they rejected it because they lost a lot of money. People weren't buying their product anymore. I don't know that Disney will stop this kind of crap. They're just going to do it, find ways to make it more secretive.
I think so. I would have
to sign an NDA before you even take the training.
I'd have to agree because even and I showed this last night on Toxic Femme. There's this elite group of cast members. I think it's like Signature Service or something like that. They're the ones that conduct like the VIP tours and all of that. Well, allegedly, they have to go through that training. And guess which attraction Disney is recruiting from that Signature Service group of cast members? Guess which attraction they're recruiting from that for?
It's a small world.
I wish. The Star Cruiser Hotel, the Star Wars Hotel at Galaxy's Edge.
Of course, well, at Disney World. That's where they're going to find their clowns, right? I mean, they know. Oh, who are the woke morons inside our company? Let's go to Lucasfilm. Let's go to everyone knows those guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, Kate. Hold on a second. 72 hours. Yes, because the investors meeting is Thursday. Not investors meeting. The Q2 earnings results meeting is Thursday.
Are you still a shareholder? Do you have any shares, Reina?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be an activist. I'm never selling my Disney shares. Ever. Ever.
And so,
I learned it watching the left. It's called activist investing. So, yeah.
And you actually have money, unlike many of our friends on the left. So whatever.
I said something about investment portfolio in Toxic Fab last night, and somebody jokingly said, "What is this? What is this portfolio you speak of? What is that?"
I just want to make a comment about how Hollywood has changed and not changed in the 20 years that I've been there. When I first arrived 20 years ago, we were told from the very beginning, you've got to market to the young because that's where the money is, right? And that's sort of a leftover of Generation X, where our generation grew up and were successful and had money, right? And so we were the ones that they had been trained to market to. And then 20 years later, they're still like, market to the young. I'm like, yeah, but they don't have any money anymore. They're living with their parents. Us, Generation X, we still have the money. So it's like this, you didn't see that this actual market changed completely. If the young
they're like all these young kids, they have iPhones. It's like, oh, shoot, the freaking parents bought it for them. They didn't have to save up and buy it.
It's like this thing, I worked at the CW multiple times. The CW sort of has owned and embraced that it's going to do this woke stuff for this young generation. And I'm like, yeah, but they're not actually watching our shows. If we actually, for example, we made some of these superhero shows for the people who watch them, like the Generation X people, you wouldn't be bragging about having 700,000 viewers. You'd have 3 million viewers at least, right? But now you're so bragging you got 700,000 people in the demo. Like the demo's broke.
Oh, last comment here. Dad Man Walking, Lorena. The Disney Star Cruiser is a must review for you to do as a theme park reviewer and Queen of Florida. Yes, it is on my list. It's something that I've wanted to do ever since the hotel was announced. So that's on my list of things to do, and I will probably be the saltiest guest that they've ever had. Like I say, I don't snort the pixie dust at all. I keep it real. Well, folks, thank you so much for hanging with it. Time always freaking flies when we have you on here. Well, Kamran. It's almost the end of Ramadan, isn't it?
Yeah, Ramadan. Actually, this should be the last day. Tomorrow should be the end. Yeah. So yeah. And it was an interesting Ramadan. So we're through it.
Now, I'm blessed that you came on my show to start Ramadan.
We started and we ended together. That's nice.
Absolutely.
In the miracle of the middle, someone claiming to be me is now on Twitter. So
I know. It's like, folks, Check that out. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And again, thank you, Kamran, for hanging out. And of course, thank you, Fat Steven, for bringing your witty banter like you always do. Fat Steven is going to have a 1K celebration. I believe it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Everyone's welcome. I hope we'll show. If not, I will just replace everyone with cheesecake cutouts. So I'm good either way. Other than that, I wanted to say something else. The 19th, though, we're getting Chuck Dixon on my channel with his partner for his new project. So
nice.
That'll be the 19th.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is amazing. That is so cool. Well, folks, also this evening, definitely check out the Dark Council at we show up around 8:30, but whenever they all get behind stage and everyone is there on time, then they start the show, which is sometime between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Let's put it that way.
If you see the gospel according to Mark, please give him my love. I just started following him again on Twitter. I'm reconnecting with all the old people, so he's a great guy. I don't know if Abu Nas will be on, but give them my regards if you see him.
Oh, I definitely will. I definitely will. So, folks, Dark Council around 9, and I think the High Council starts a little bit later after that. But you know what? Have 3 tabs open and watch all shows. Okay. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.